Thank you all for taking the time out of your day to join me live today. Welcome to our webinar. I'm going to be showing you how to get the most out of Kodable this year. My name is Danielle, and I am on the teacher team here at Kodable, where I support educators in using Kodable successfully. I was also a K through 6 STEM teacher for 8 years, and I used Kodable in the classroom. I do hundreds of calls with teachers each year, and through these, I learn so many tips directly from people using the product, and then I can also see things that teachers are kind of underutilizing or don't know about. So I was hoping to kind of bring those two together today and show you some review of some things you might already know, but also bring you some insight and some tips from how other teachers are using Kodable in their classrooms. So today may be review a little bit for those of you who have been using it for years. And then hopefully I'll also sneak in some brand new tips that you haven't thought of before. And I'll also be talking about some upcoming events we have, some special announcements. And at the end, you can stick around and ask some questions if you have any. So we'll start here in Fuzztopia. This is in Kodable Basics, where your students will start. It's the main area that they'll see unless they are in Kodable Junior mode. And I'm going to be diving into a few of these courses here and just showing off some fun tips and resources for you to use. So we'll start here in Galaxy Map Mazes. As many of you may know, we have 5 planets that cover different coding concepts in each, and students can learn about these concepts by guiding cute fuzz characters through a maze using code. So you can see over here some examples of some different coding concepts they might learn in the different planets, such as sequence, loops, functions, conditional statements, Booleans. So one teacher tip I'd like to share with you in using different mazes is that each course actually has a free play area, and this one often gets missed, but it's a great place for students to go if they do need extra practice in that particular planet or coding concept. So you can see here, the students will be able to see it over here and click on it. You can see this has done 1 round of free play. And like I said, this free play section is going to be just giving them extra practice in whatever level and whatever course they're in. In the very last mazes in these levels, it's the assessment level where you may have noticed that the hint button is actually removed. So if students are kind of relying on hints as they're making their way through mazes and solving them, at the end, you'll be able to see if they've passed the assessment, which means they can do it without support. However, when they get to the end, if they are kind of stalling and it seems like they can't complete it, this free play will pop up and it will ask them, do you want extra practice? And then it will take them to another area where they can get some extra practice. Another teacher tip I'd like to provide here is on your teacher dashboard, you can click on the tab called Courses, and you will be able to see all of the courses available in Kodable Basics, Kodable Creator, and Bug World. When you click on a course and you click on Materials, you can see teacher prep, independent activities, guided lessons, and just a bunch of resources that can support you in teaching whatever concept the planet is teaching, and also give students extra videos or unplugged activities that can also just help reinforce the concepts for them too. We have also recently updated our standards tab to include state-aligned standards too. So that standards page on each course will really help you to kind of align with your curriculum and know what you're teaching and which course will be the most beneficial for maybe what you're teaching in the moment. So in general, that courses page is going to be very helpful just for giving you some extra material to work with as you do these lessons. I want to highlight Vortex. It's recently come to my attention that a lot of people were kind of unfamiliar with what Vortex is. Vortex can be found when they open up Mission Control as well, where they see that galaxy map. And I've heard from people recently that they get a little nervous about their students having at-home accounts and moving on and doing the assignments that they wanted the students to complete in class. So Vortex kind of solves that problem. And it also is just a really fun, really fun looking area too for the students. And basically these levels are going to be AI generated to meet students where they're at. So depending on what they've completed in class with you, maybe they've completed 2 of the planets or they're in the middle of one of them, it's going to adjust based on that. So they can get, because they're AI generated, they can get endless practice here. and it will meet them at their current level, and it can be a mix of different concepts. So if if you have never sent home this information to parents, I highly recommend going to your dashboard and clicking on Invite Families, and you can kind of get an overview of what these at-home invites look like because the families can get 1 week free. So again, if you've never sent this out, it may be a good idea if you have a February break or spring break or some time coming up where students are going to be at home and you'd like to recommend some extra at-home learning. They can get that 1 week free. You can recommend they go home and focus on Vortex, see how many levels they can complete in Vortex, and there will be no overlap with anything you want to assign in class. If parents don't want to continue paying for an at-home account, just linking the code that you send home will actually allow them to just keep their account for free to view progress while students can't continue to play at home. They'll still be able to see things that their students create and kind of where they're at while they're working with you in school. So it's pretty great. The next thing I want to highlight is a fan favorite. This is pets. I love talking about pets because there's so many things to it. One of the coolest things about pets is that the more you code, the more things change regularly. So pets will grow from puppies to adults. They can change the whole look of the area that they're working in. With their paw prints that they earn, they can add carpet decorations, pictures. They kind of have this own little world where they can customize it based on what they're earning and what they're coding. So students will be able to interact with their pets and give them a bone or play with them, but they're also learning to code a CareBot to do these things for them. It's kind of like a Roomba, if you think of it like that. Like you're going to give it some directions and it's going to go to different areas and do something for you while you're not around. So a couple of tips here is because students can kind of watch that growth happen over time, it's really fun if you have some sort of routine with it. So maybe like they check on certain days in a month, or you have a daily routine where at the end of the day they check in on their pet. They'll have an in-game calendar that actually helps them track and see how many days they've been coming in a row. And I've recently heard from a few different teachers that they keep sort of a version of a pet's journal because there are so many decisions students can make within the game, such as, do I want to spend my paw points to get new toys for the pet? Or do I want to upgrade the CareBot to be more powerful? Or, should I go in and charge my CareBot so that it can keep going? Or how many loops do I want to add when it says, give peanut food, right? So they have so many decisions that they're kind of thinking through while they're in pets. So it's a really exciting one to go back. It's even exciting for me. I try to regularly take care of my pets, and you can always play along with your students too. But it's fun to just see how things change, and all of a sudden your pet grows up, and you decide to now decorate the home. So it's fun to watch the progress. So if you haven't turned this into some sort of routine, whether maybe you're a librarian or in tech or STEM, and maybe you see kids a certain amount of days a month, and you just want that to be like their initial like come in, check on your pet, that's really fun too. There's also we have a resource, a Kodable pet adoption certificate. Some people were using these as like a journal cover or actually hanging them in their classroom just to kind of celebrate that everyone adopted their pet that day. A really great one for social emotional learning too, responsibility, empathy. And like I said, there's a lot of decisions to be made in here, which I think is kind of fun for students to reflect on. Like, why did I choose to spend the paw prints on this? Or what am I excited to earn the next time I'm in the pets game? Here we have Maze Maker. This page just kind of shows you a variety of mazes that were recently made by students. I've been taking screenshots the past 2 weeks of ones that just were kind of exciting and inspiring to me. I know a lot of times we assign students something and we can kind of predict like, oh, students might make something that looks like this. And I think that Maze Maker is one of those places where you really walk around and you're like, I would have never thought to create something like that. So this is a great place, I say, where you can see your students' personalities really kind of shine through. You can see if you compare these, like some of them use the objects that we provide a lot more. Some of them are trying to make more complicated mazes. You can see the code on the bottom. Some only require one arrow, some require multiple functions or loops or things like that. So it's a great place that kind of meets the interest of every student. Um, I say it's a great place for self-expression. With that being said, it's also a great place where they're actually applying learning. So, for example, if your students were in the planet of Aquatopia, and they're learning loops, you might say, when you finish this level, I want you to go to Maze Maker and create a maze that has two loops. Then, when you're finished, create a maze that has three loops. And you might kind of give them some challenges to go actually apply what they've learned in Maze Maker. Uh, so, the other thing I like to highlight is just the collaboration opportunity here. They can see their classmates' mazes while they're in here. So that's always exciting for them to actually get to share their work and play each other's and give feedback. And then I also like to highlight that, sometimes like in doing mazes in the galaxy map, maybe you don't necessarily want students working together because you really want them to kind of practice on their own. But Maze Maker, I say, is a great place to have students partner up, give them a challenge together, work on something together. It's just a really great opportunity for them to kind of collaborate and have fun and just show what they know, show what they've learned in the other courses. Also, a great place for when you kind of have that extra time at the end of class, if you just want to say, go check out all the top mazes and get some inspiration from others of what type of maze you might create next time. I like to say this too because, like I said, when I see all the mazes made by students, I'm always like, I would have never thought to create something like that. So it's a really great place for them to actually kind of get excited about going in here and coming up with new ideas. Okay, beach cleanup, another great place for endless coding practice. They'll get to clean up beaches by recycling and protecting adorable ocean animals. And here, rather than just solving the mazes like they're doing in the galaxy map, they are actually also drawing the path to complete the mazes. And something that is pretty special about it too, I think you can see in this example here that many of these mazes can actually be completed in a lot of different ways. So there's multiple ways to solve the same maze. So that's always fun to bring up to students too, and it makes them think like, okay, this is my initial way that I could complete this maze, but what's a second way I could actually make this maze work? Uh, and then the other great thing here is just like Maze Maker, it's a really great place for them to apply what they've learned. They can actually toggle back and forth between easy, medium, and hard, and you don't need to assign it. So if they want to just practice a specific concept, maybe they just want to practice sequencing, they can go to easy and always come back and switch it. Something else I've noticed more teachers have been doing fun things with is the students can see how much they have recycled. It keeps track here. You can see where it says 162. And so some teachers have told me that they've actually set like class goals for like how much their class is going to recycle and then kind of made this into a bigger project, tying it back to social emotional learning, like community involvement or caring for the environment, caring for animals. So that's a really fun tie in there. Um, let's see, did I miss anything else? Oh, I was going to mention too, this is also a really great one for Earth Day. April is going to be here before we know it because January is flying by. So this is a great one if you have never introduced beach cleanup. It could be fun to just introduce it on April 1st and have it kind of be a whole month celebration and see how much your classes can recycle before you reach Earth Day. Okay, we are now in Kodable Creator and we have entered Flooftopia. Here we have an interactive learning environment focused on STEM concepts where we have fun characters named floofs who are pretty new to the Codable universe, but they are here to help guide students through the different courses. So we will dive into a couple of these and I'll give you some tips in these as well. We'll start here with coding. So you can see in this video how it kind of is showing we've got our directions on the right side, our mission objectives, but we also have Pixel here flying around and kind of giving some extra directions here too. Uh, so students in the beginning of these coding courses, it will kind of hold their hand and pace them through it. And there's a gradual release of responsibility where students will become kind of more and more independent and just go through the mission objectives on their own. I also like to point out that I think it's really fun in Codable Basics and Codable Creator, students are going to kind of notice some similarities in it. So if you are like a K through 5 teacher, your students that are using Codable Basics are going to be able to make a lot of connections as they move on into Codable Creator. So for example, you could see that the bugs came in and messed up the code, and the arrows are actually going the wrong direction. And if you've used the mazes, you know that that's kind of what a similar feel. Those bugs come in, they bug the code, and they learn all about debugging. And they're doing a similar thing here in Codable Creator, but it's just more appropriate for those upper grades. So something else that is great in our coding courses is they are going to teach different concepts, just like in Codable Basics. So here you can see we have a conditional statement that they're learning in KeyQuest. And then at the end of every course, students will be uh, encouraged to continue coding and customizing. So once your students make it through a course, at the end, Pixel will say, like, keep going and customizing. So those students that kind of move a little bit faster, and we kind of get that feeling of like, okay, when kids are done, what are they going to do? They're going to get that message and they're going to be able to go in and just keep customizing, editing properties, changing the color, changing sizes, speed, different functions within their game to add animations or sounds. So you can see I put this in here, like, this is how the game started. We've replaced some items here, some characters, coded an animation. Over here, some different characters as well. We've got a background moving. So I think that that is one really special thing in Codable Creator is that your students that need more support and they need Pixel coming out, they've got the need help button, they can listen to directions, all that great stuff that support those students that need more help. And then your students that are flying through can then continue to challenge themselves and customize the whole game at the end. So you've kind of got everybody supported. So some other teacher tips I have for you here too. We have, again, a lot of resources that support these. So we have an entire vocabulary packet when you go to look at the coding courses on your dashboard, some of the resources, things to help them kind of understand different concepts like loops or functions or sequence, and they can reflect on it. Like I said, a vocabulary packet where they can kind of write some stories or do some fun word searches that help them get to know the actual words they're learning in these courses. That's the other great thing too, is Pixel will actually kind of give a description of the concept they're learning. And then these unplugged activities can help you to kind of reinforce the concept in an unplugged way. And then I also like to highlight that we do have the arcade and Codable Creator. And this is where students can see games made from students all, I'm sorry, students can go in and see games made by students from all over the world. And we've broken it down by categories here too. So after they finish the coding courses, if they want to click on coding and arcade and check out some of the different games that were made by other students to kind of get some ideas as they're customizing their own game, this is a great place to go. Kind of similar in Maze Maker when they go check out top mazes. It's just a really fun place for inspiration and ideas and motivation and just see what other creations are out there. Here we are in Create, another really great place just for self-expression and to apply the learning that they've gotten from the other courses. So here are some fun examples some students have made. This is where they can really apply everything they've learned in the other courses. You'll see a lot of personality shine through here. And it basically allows students to make their own video game from a completely blank scratch plate. So each time they complete a coding course, they're going to have kind of more tools in their tool belt to know how to make different things happen in their own video game. So rather than just putting them into Create with kind of a blank space and they're kind of like, okay, where should I click or what can I add? You know, what's even possible? As they move through those coding courses that I showed you, they will feel more prepared in free Create to design whatever they can imagine. A couple teacher tips. This is another really great place for collaboration, especially when students haven't used Free Create. It can kind of be fun to partner them up, have them do a brainstorming sheet together. You know, what type of game do we want to make? Do we want it to get inspiration from something we've already done in Kodable Creator. You can also do a fun kind of whole class challenge. You might be like, okay, we're all going into Create and we are going to do an ocean theme game, or we're going to code a game that has 10 loops, or you have to edit 15 properties, or so you can kind of come up with some fun challenges. And we've already come up with those ideas for you. So those are on your teacher dashboard under materials as well. And then the other great thing I like to highlight here is templates. If you have some students that do not feel fully prepared to edit a game from scratch, they can go to templates here and they can select a game type basically that will give them the structure of the code that is from one of the coding courses they've done. And they can just begin kind of customizing and adding functions or editing properties from that game code. So that way they're not starting with a completely blank slate if they feel intimidated by that. I also think templates is a really great place to uh, practice. So let's say your students complete the high flyer course in coding. You could then say we're all going to open up the high flyer template and customize from there. So that's another kind of fun additional step you could take if you want them to just edit a template of a course that they've just created. Or that can also be like next week or next time we code. Now that we've finished high flyer, we're going to edit the high flyer template. Okay, digital citizenship is here. This is our first digital citizenship course on online profiles. So students are able to kind of be a detective here and look around these profiles to make sure they are safe. We've heard that they've enjoyed searching through clues and sorting. Some are a little bit more challenging, and they'll earn tools that help them through it, like scanners, magnifying glasses, all those fun things. They're also going to see a bunch of the codable characters from Basics and Creator, and some of the notes are pretty funny too. So we've heard that students have enjoyed that part as well. A couple teacher tips for you. We have some slideshows that go along with this. We have one that you can kind of use to kick off your digital citizenship lessons in general, just how to be a great digital citizen and what does that mean. We also have a slideshow that goes along with the actual online profile course just to help students kind of understand what they're doing and why they're doing this and why does it matter to have a safe online profile. We've also got a unplugged activity where students can use what they've learned in the course to make their own safe versus unsafe profile. And I've also seen from a few teachers that they've had students create digital versions of this and make up their own characters, or even use Fuzz Builder to design their own fuzz and then put that in there too. So people have gotten really creative for how to kind of check for that understanding after doing the online profile course. Okay, let's talk about engineering, our very popular engineering courses. In these courses, students can experiment, design, test, simulate, and they'll use objects like marbles, dominoes, levers, inclined planes, and more. And you can see I'm going to pause this video really quickly because I think this is a really good example of how the engineering course might start off looking something like this. And when your students get to the end again and they're prompted to customize, make it your own, keep coding, that's where they might add objects that spawn, or new animations, new characters, new items, change how big the dominoes are or how many marbles there are. And I just think it's so wonderful because the options are really endless in creations like these. So, like I mentioned, your students that make their way through a course really quickly and it promotes them to keep going, they're going to come up with some pretty awesome ideas. And in this one in particular, there is a lot of coding happening, such as items spawning, like I mentioned. So, them completing the coding courses will actually help them understand different coding concepts to bring to things like engineering or science courses or free create. So they all of the courses that we have kind of support each other as they're going through them. Some tips I have for you here is that some of our engineering courses are not available on free accounts, but they are incredibly fun and especially valuable if you are a STEM teacher, tech teacher, or you teach science and engineering. They're all aligned with the next generation science standards too that you can find on your dashboard. So if you are interested in playing these yourself, because they're very, very fun and also aligned to these standards, I recommend you go to your dashboard and click on Student View. And in Student View, you will be able to explore anything in Codable Basics or Creator. So you can kind of jump around. It doesn't save your progress. There are notes on the side of the screen over here on the right side that kind of give you some teacher tips. It's also a great place for you to click on a course that your students are working on, and you can project it in the front of the classroom and just kind of show them what they're about to be doing. But like I mentioned, if you are trying to learn more about a course or play through a course that you don't have access to because you're on a free plan, you can check them out in Student View to see if it's something that would benefit your teaching. Okay, we are now talking about AI in Creator. Uh, I have been talking to a lot of teachers about AI lately, and it seems like about half of the teachers are using it a lot in school, and half the teachers are feeling a little bit hesitant and haven't used it too much. I think this is a really great way to introduce how it's used, why it's used, and the actual benefits of it too, especially because we have a very safe version of AI in here. So at the end of every course, I showed you guys in coding how they have directions on the right side. Those will disappear at the end of the course, and the AI chat will pop up. It will give them some suggestions of different things they can ask here. So, like I said, it's school safe. We don't save any data here, so it's a great starting point if you haven't used it before. And the other wonderful thing is that any language they use to either type or speak into the chat box, it will respond in that language. So here are just some fun examples of what this can help your students with while they're in Codable Creator. So number one, it can just actually help them if they're feeling confused and need some support. So questions that they might come to you with, you can always say, did you use the chat first? So they can say like, how do I change my background? How do I test my game? And then Pixel will respond. They can even have it add objects for them. So add a giant penguin to my game. They can specify those different properties like color, size, direction, different things like that. So of course, we have very creative students and they might want to add like 20 things at once, or it's also very, very helpful if you're doing something like engineering and you want to add like a lot of dominoes at once, right? So they're actually learning there is a benefit to AI actually like helping me when I use it the right way to make what I'm creating a little bit easier. And then also, something pretty incredible is it will help to add code for them, just like real programmers are using. They can click on an object such as the penguin and say, code my penguin to move up when I hit the up arrow key. So, also a really great AI or technology lesson in general, right? Because when we teach things like searching in Google, we don't want to type a whole paragraph and put it in and hope that we find what we're searching for, right? We'll teach like keywords or using certain phrases. So, kind of the same thing here. If you have students that are typing in a giant thing like, I want my penguin to fly across the room and all these fun details, like, is AI actually going to be able to recognize what you need and give you the outcome you desire? So, there are so many fun just lessons that you can tie in that connect to the AI chat that we have in Creator. It is if you are on a free or premium plan, you get limited to 5 questions a day, and the other plans are unlimited. I'm going to just check. It looks like we might have a couple of questions. Good question from Dolores. In Student View, you actually can skip ahead, which is really nice. You can kind of click wherever you want to show. In most courses, you can click ahead and get to a certain point to show like the level that they're on, so that a lot of people have used it. If a few students are stuck in the same place, they'll go to that and then kind of walk students through it. We are almost finished. So we have some upcoming events. We have our Valentine's Day event where students can actually code and create mazes to be made into basically a Valentine. And the great thing here is they can actually be shared with their loved ones. So it'll go to your dashboard and you'll be able to share that out to their families. We also have our brand new event in Kodable Creator for St. Patrick's Day where students will be kind of learning about engineering as they are trying to catch a mischievous fuzz leprechaun that has come into Flooftopia. I also have some examples from our recent directed drawing events. They were so much fun to just see what students have created, and they get to interact with our art director, Greg, who's actually making the art for these games and for these events. So then teachers have been kind of projecting the webinar and allowing students to follow along and draw with Greg. And it's just been really, really fun to see what they've created. And we will have these coming up for Valentine's Day and St. Patrick's Day. So to find out about these events, just check our emails. We'll notify you on the teacher dashboard or if you follow us on social media, but we will be releasing more dates and more information about these soon. Okay. And some of you may have heard that pretty exciting Codable typing is here. I can't share too much about it yet, but we will be releasing this in February. We will also be hosting a live webinar to actually give you more insight into what is included in Codable typing, what the different modes look like, and all that great stuff. So be on the lookout for more information for that, and hopefully you'll come to that webinar to take a look. And we're really excited to share it with you. It's going to be very much a vacation vibe. They'll have characters, the floofs and the fuzzes joined in. We will have several endless game modes where students can continue practicing their typing even after they have finished certain lessons. So we're really excited for this launch. Um, that's pretty much what I have to share with you guys today. I appreciate you coming. If you do have any questions at this time, you can put them in the chat and I'll do my best to answer. But please know that here at Kodable, we are a small team that loves hearing from teachers. So if you ever have questions, comments, feedback about certain courses, ideas, you can always reach out to support@kodable.com. And if you are very eager to learn more about typing too, you can also send an email over to support@kodable.com just to kind of put it out there that you want to stay in the loop with information on that. Thank you guys so much for being here. I hope that you learned something new today, something exciting you want to take back to the classroom. If you did, I would love to hear it. I will be sending out a short survey after this, so if you wouldn't mind filling that out just to share some information back with me, that would be very, very helpful. I go ahead and end the webinar. If you have any other questions, don't forget you can respond to my email earlier or reach out to support@kodable.com, and we'd be happy to help you further. And thank you again for being here today. I hope you have a wonderful day.